Hello, and welcome everybody to this special edition of BingeWorthy podcast. I am Courtney Wright. I'm one of your hosts, and with me today, I have two special guests joining us because today is going to be our ladies' night edition of BingeWorthy. The ladies are taking over. Woo!
Yeah, woo!
Now, you may know two of my guests from the Origins Illustrated podcast. But in case you do not, ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves, starting with Clarama?
Hi, I'm Clarama. I'm based in LA. And I work in VR, in case that wasn't guessed. Catherine.
Hello, I'm Catherine Hicks. I'm based in Memphis, Tennessee. I am a AR/VR designer here locally, and I'm a geek. Woohoo! At D&D. Woo!
Yes. And today on the BingeWorthy podcast, we are going to talk about Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1. We are going to dive in and talk about that. But for those of you who don't know about the BingeWorthy podcast, we review a show in a week, and then we discuss it and talk about it and rate it based on our BingeWorthy scale. Now, I don't have a fancy language that Randy has, because he's usually our master of ceremonies, but I am standing in for him as he and Chuck cannot be with us this evening. But we missed you guys. We're giving you a shout out.
Happy birthday,
just
Chuck.
So you know, our
belated
birthday. Happy belated birthday,
Happy
Chuck.
belated birthday, Chuck.
Yeah.
Our
So in honor, the show is
scale.
dedicated to your birthday.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're celebrating you.
Yes.
So our BingeWorthy scale, let's go over that real quick. So first, with a 5, I don't even know what he calls it. I'm gonna say a 5 plate situation because we have a BingeWorthy. At 5 is a BingeWorthy. At 4 is a full meal. 3 is a mini meal. It doesn't quite have all the pizzazz that, would rate it up to a full meal or binge-worthy, but it's still noteworthy and you should check it out. At 3, we have a snack. I think that's right. Did I? Yeah, Randy, if you're in the chat, you chime in if I missed one. We have a snack. It's just kind of like, meh, it's all right. And then we have cringeworthy. That would just mean that the show is pretty terrible. But it's very rare for us to give something that cringeworthy. And based on what I think about our show that we're reviewing tonight, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. But let's check in with the ladies. See, what we do is we rate it first, and then we discuss it and re-rate the show, seeing if anyone's mind needs to be changed. Now, I will invite Clarama. Would you like to lead off and give your rating for season 4 of Stranger Things?
Yes, madam. By that rating scale, I would say I gave it a full meal.
Okay.
And that is because we still haven't seen the last couple episodes.
That is a solid point.
That will determine whether it is binge-worthy or not. But so far, full meal for me. Sorry, my dog's in the background if I keep looking at him because he
wants to be on the show. That's fine.
Yes, exactly.
Catherine.
I definitely give it like a 5, a full meal. Probably a full meal with several.
Full meal
Full
or binge out?
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. A binge out with multiple meals. Because it's like, especially with the length and everything, I am satisfied, but I'm satisfied on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And like, it is breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of order, but I am enjoying it. I love it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, I'm gonna say, first of all, I didn't watch season 3 initially, like when it dropped. I don't know what was going on in my life, but I totally missed season 3. And so I had to watch season 3 and then jump right into season 4. So in order to know what was going on. And I didn't give like a whole history of Stranger Things because I felt like the audience knows about Stranger Things. You know, we're following our like, what is it, like core 5 kids. You got 11 or L. You have Will, who is our kid who got trapped in the upside down in season 1. And then you have Dustin, who I gotta say, Dustin, he's kind of my favorite. I know everybody like loves L, but Dustin, he comes with it, you know. And then what's L's little boyfriend's name? I forget him.
I'm so bad with
Luke?
names.
No.
No, Lucas. Oh, Lucas is the other kid who this year was on
Mike.
the basketball team. Mike. And Lucas, you know. So that's our core group. And then we also have Max or Maxine, who joined, I want to say season 2 she came in. You know, and then we have, of course, like Nancy, Jonathan, and the other Dustin's like partner in crime. What's his name? Yeah, no, the one who
the blockbuster guy?
Dustin?
Yes,
no, Dustin.
the blockbuster guy.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on his name? See, Randy, this is why you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to do all this. Randy has all these things already ready to go, and I'm
babysitter Steve. Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
That's his name. That's his name.
Get down for us things.
Sorry,
exactly,
I might have
exactly
like brain fog, and I'm not good with names. So
I know.
Just listen. I don't really like, after Game of Thrones. I just stopped learning all the names. I know the most names. You know what I'm saying? I know who they are when it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes. So okay. So now we have our major players, and in terms of me, it's weird. I think I'm with Karama in the sense of like, I want to give it a full meal just because I don't know what to expect. I did like the way everything unfolded with Vecna, but I do think season 4 started off a little weak for me. It started off a little slow with the whole like California situation and our core team being separated, but they kind of started that whole thing in season 3 a little bit, which then they continue like breaking them up into factions and groups together, and I don't necessarily enjoy that. So I like the whole team. I understand you gotta mix it up or whatever, but that's kind of how I came to it being a full meal, because I feel like it definitely, like Nancy, and I gotta be honest, when those guys in season 3 were calling her Nancy Drew, spot on. But she was doing a great job as Nancy Drew, and Jonathan was doing a great job as being her terrible boyfriend Ned. From the book series, I don't know if anybody else read Nancy Drew, but I'm like, Ned, you're the worst. And Jonathan was such a waste. Huh?
I feel like I don't remember it to that degree, but I feel like I remember it being big. I remember reading through the books, but I don't remember it to the detail of like the characters and stuff like that beyond.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally just, I really just remember those 2 characters from Nancy Drew. But I am gonna stay with a full meal. But I would love to hear from both of you about, what did you think about how Elle started in California? You know, because we're used to seeing 11 as this amazing, powerful, you know, badass little girl who just handles everything. A little bit lost in the sense of like, she didn't have her powers, she didn't have her core friends, she only had Will, who he was kind of useless a little bit. What did you think about how we started the season?
I kind of had to like readjust myself where everyone was, because it had been like 2 years since the 3rd season. But I do feel like they started to spread out the group too much, and I heard that had a lot to do with also the actors just being busy with different roles, so it was easier to keep them spread out in different areas as well. But starting off in California, like, I thought it was all right. Like, I felt like the bullies were very, those bullies are mean. Like, I don't know any bullies that are like this, but this is an exaggeration, of course. But it's also they're also referencing a Stephen King novel with how those bullies are acting out, especially in later episodes with the skating rink. But I wasn't the biggest fan of like the California parts. I think I was more interested in what happened in Hawkins. I think that was like the strongest element for me. It was Hawkins, but California, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Chloe?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know that it was in California, but so there's a few things there, but like first for me, the hero's journey always has this, like where the hero falls at some point, either they lose their powers and they have to relearn, to be themselves without the powers that define them. And then they have, where they become the enemy or they become in the dark side. Like there's always like some flip of them, which I think they have to do to keep engaging over the long term, where they do a 180. And so I feel like that part where, her and Mike, her boyfriend at that time, when, she's wondering like why he loves her, why he cares for her. And he says, "Oh, you're a superhero." And she's like, she's a superhero. Like she's now like, okay, that is where she's getting her sense of self-worth, which seems to be a bit off. So I think they're going to do something with that. But I think seeing her relive her trauma of when she was, bullied in her history, and then seeing her kind of be in that vulnerable space where she's no longer this like mighty superhero, but she's like the opposite, I think adds like a dimension to her character that we get to connect to her on this level beyond like the superhero facade, right? Like this is who she is as a human, as a girl, beyond without superhero. So I feel like it's like a great chance to get to know her outside of that, and it adds dimension to her character arc that's like very typical for I think most superhero stories at some point when they've gone to have 3 or 4 different movies or something like that. And then second, the bullying thing, actually that part was very triggering for me. So I used to be bullied a lot when I was in elementary school, and it was that obnoxious. So like, I don't want to go into the stories, but like I've been in that experience since actually in second grade, where I was in private school, and it was my first time being in private school. And I just remember feeling so out of place. I've only gone to like public schools, and I think being first generation, I don't know, I just remember getting targeted a lot. And I like, there was a group of girls that would follow me down the hallway and like wait till nobody was around, and then like pin me up against the wall and like threaten me with like different things, and like just like, I don't know, it's just like a lot of little things. So to me, that gave me that same vibe of when like you're targeted by a specific group of people for
no reason.
What you stand out for some reason, whatever, some insecure girl, and then they get a whole crew of people against you, and then they just like for fun, they use their recesses for fun to like find new ways to antagonize you. I found that very triggering to have to vicariously live through watching Eleven go through that. And so I also saw like a lot of like Carrie references as a result of this. Like I thought that they were going to go in a Carrie direction.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of looking forward to seeing how that would look, but it was interesting.
Which they ultimately kind of did. They did kind of
yeah.
have a moment, which I didn't even think of Carrie.
Yeah, the
milkshake.
The milkshake, yeah.
Milkshake that they threw at her at the roller skating rink. So when she took that roller skate to that girl's face, I wasn't sad about it.
I wasn't.
I thought she earned that roller skate wheel. I really did. But for me, it was hard to see the teacher being completely ineffectual in the classroom. I actually fast forwarded through a lot of that because it bothered me a lot, because I think for me, it was a different feeling in the sense of like, why is no one standing up for her, with her? Like, what are you doing? You're literally just sitting there. Yeah. Like, she saved your life. I don't even know how many times. And you can't stand up. You can't like open your mouth. Like, for me, that's where I was. It's like, what kind of friend are you, honestly? And I know Will was going through his own little stuff, but I really didn't care. In that one moment, you really just needed to be a friend.
Yeah.
And I know he was trying, but I guess. But yeah, I agree. Like for me, the California element was it was different in the sense of I get that we have to change things up. At the end of season 3, Will's mom, Winona Ryder, she packed up the family and followed through on her desire to leave Hawkins after what's his name? David Harbour.
Yeah.
Why do I know their real names, not their character names? It starts with an H. Starts with an. I think his name.
Like, this is important name to remember.
Exactly. I'm like, I know they're
just quite the opposite.
Hopper. Okay. So Hopper. After Hopper died, then they left town. So in season 3, Jonathan was really starting to become a bit useless because he wasn't listening to Nancy. Nancy had a very valid reason into seeking information about what she thought was happening in Hawkins. And then he finally showed up. Whereas in season 4, again, now he's found a stoner friend, smoking out, literally still doing nothing with his life just because he can't make a decision to tell Nancy that he did not apply to college and is not coming back. I just thought that the randomness of his character, and I saw an article with him. I don't know if either one of you read it. An article with him where he was talking about the fan backlash and what's happening with Jonathan. Why aren't we doing anything with him? And just kind of speculating there is a reason. We have, obviously there are plans that for this character that are probably going to be more prominent in the second part. But at this point, I'm kind of over Jonathan, and I really want her to get back together with Steve.
Yeah, I felt that. I feel like Jonathan's character is kind of just being thrown away right now. Like, he's just Stoner Jonathan. All right, cool. And
with his stoner pizza friend. Why do we need pizza friend? Jonathan could have easily been the one working at the pizza store, and he would have had more to do than pizza friend.
Yeah,
who I don't even know his name.
Yeah,
I don't care.
One of those characters that did have a movie or something else going on, but I do think they'll get back together. I don't think that she's going to end up being with Steve, because as much as we all want to see that or like them to, because in the beginning they kind of set it up where they're talking about each other, like, he's amazing, da da da, and he's like, she's this and this, and I feel like that in and of itself was them saying they're going to be them making it very clear they are the foundation, they are connected. But the whole idea of should she not with this other guy who's also really attractive and is having a hard time with dating, he's been humbled, I don't know, yeah, I as much as we they've been doing a job of twisting things up, setting something up and then be just kidding, psych, it's the real integrity of things. And so it's oh, it's interesting, they're not sticking to cliches, they're just playing with the cliches.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I feel in season 1 where Steve started and where, what we knew of him, he was just a jerky guy who was just kind of useless. And we were all rooting for Nancy to find someone like Jonathan, nice guy. He clearly has, a good heart and wants what's best for Nancy. And then here Steve comes season 2, they paired him with Dustin, which was such a great pairing. You know what I mean? They just found chemistry gold between the two of them. And then Steve found out about the Upside Down and everything that had been going on, everything that happened in season 1. And then now here we are, and he's a core member of the team diving into the water, and I'm jumping ahead, but what other notable things stuck out to you with the rest of the team that was left in Hawkins? What did you think about where they started the season?
I loved. So I didn't think the beginning of the season started slow to me, but that was because I loved what's her name? Erica?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Erica's my favorite.
Her scene was so epic when they brought her in and she came to go play Dungeons and Dragons, and she tells the guy off, and I was like, yes, Black representation.
I
loved her.
Right? Yeah, as a D&D player, and she came in and she's kicking ass in D&D, and she's like, yeah, and she's being doing all the nerd notes, I'm this character, I'm left's level, and she's just
she came in and had a full backstory. story and was like, I mean, when Eddie and her were nose to nose, here's this little bitty girl, and she came with it, and she came hard.
Yeah.
I love Erica. I've loved Erica ever since she said, "You can't have America without Erica."
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
ever since she said that, I was like,
Yeah.
that is so true.
Yeah.
I love
true.
her. She comes in with that flag. She's like, I'm all that in a bag of chips, and I just love it. And I love just even the embracement of like the nerdiness. She wasn't shying away and be like, "Oh, this is too nerdy." She's like, "Nah, I'm a nerd and I'm proud of it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know. I love it. I love all the D&D nodes too, which is great. And also,
Yes,
very
I love
unsung
that,
hero
and I
though. She's
love
very unsung, and like I like you would think at least for me, I feel like her coming onto the scene is the same way when you see Idris Elba come in on an MCU movie. Like they just like light up, or they just like give you this good energy where you get really excited in those moments where they make their entrance and they have their like moments. And so I feel like she has that for me. So just it's unfortunate to like see that she's not like, you know, her face is not part of the main cast, or like, you know, like I feel like she could be a very strong main cast asset, but for some reason she's not necessarily given that on that
I hope
market.
we're given more of her in the next part, like part 2. She's got to do like I hope they do more. Like
I mean, she had a great role in season 3 too.
Yeah.
Like even in the end,
she
like
she was a powerhouse
great.
role in
Yeah.
season 3.
Yeah.
And I think that they are also I love that it really she got to play with Lucas a little bit more.
Mhm.
The two of them you get to see their relationship. And I liked where they brought her in because she was the one who was bold enough to stand up for Eddie. Whereas Lucas led his little bullying crew of like crusading athletes right to where Eddie was. And I was like, Lucas, what are you doing? Why are you becoming like...
But it's interesting. I love that because they're showing him like losing, like it's not necessarily he's losing his true self, but he's like, but kind of in a sense, right? He's becoming is out of alignment with who he truly is, while his sister completely embraces who she is, but she's rarely given the space to be that. He's worried about the space that he is in. He doesn't feel confident about the space he's in, so he's trying to get.
He wants to move
space.
up. He wants to like level up and be one of the cool kids because he thinks life will be easier, and then he could take Dustin and Mike with him, you know, like come up the ladder with me.
It's interesting,
you know, shrug off the Hellfire Club.
It's interesting how they paralleled their scenes together too, because they're both kind of coming from different, like as you said, Chloe, like Lucas is kind of trying to be within his crew and trying to be in his crew and be cool and stuff, and Erica's embracing herself, and they're both paralleled with that slam dunk shot.
She's like, totally fine.
That was such a great scene.
Yeah,
it was such a great scene because the way that they did that, set brother against sister, but yet set in two totally different areas and arenas, but still equally the savior of each game. Like it was so well done, so smartly done. I'm glad you brought that up because she totally slayed in that D&D campaign. Yes. And without her, they never would have won.
No.
So in my healthy skepticism of white writers writing Black characters, I was kind of curious. I was like, why did they do that? I wonder what was the point of like giving them both their like huge moments in such an early part of the episode, but then like obviously not carrying that on necessarily throughout the series. And so I thought it was very interestingly placed that they got this both huge, really great positive note that at this moment, I think they're expecting our audience to like cheer for them. And I was like, I'm curious what's happening there, because there's something there and I don't know what it is. And part of me wonders how much of that was like written with white guilt, because you see the character Eleven getting carried away by police and getting accused by things and getting arrested, a little white girl arrested and being held hostage and, you know, unfairly fingerprinted unfairly, whatever, like something that you works very well and natural or real world to a Black person, especially a Black kid getting put in handcuffs, something you've never ever seen in actual reality in real life with a young white girl. It doesn't matter what they've committed, if they committed anything, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something you would never see. So I'm curious how much of that was like, let's get this win here, give them their nod, and then we're gonna borrow this story because it will really enhance this character's, you know, plights of the underdog. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely saw 11 getting arrested coming.
Yeah.
When she took that roller skate to that girl's face, I was surprised she got to go home.
It
To
could
be
be.
honest,
I'm also wondering if that, I don't know, the bully, was she rich? Was, because like there's maybe it's like a classism, like, oh, you mess with my daughter, you're gonna be punished. And I know, like, the racism factor of it, but like it could be like the classism thing. I guess I
feel
saw
like in the real world, if that were to actually happen, where like a young white girl were to hit another young white girl with their roller skate in the face and make it bloody or whatever, I feel like their parents would be called, or
parents would be called.
be taken into a room. There would be a discussion about what to do about XYZ and who's going to pay for what. I don't see police and arrests and that getting involved.
But I mean, a lot of things didn't make sense. I also don't see her leaving her children with her stoner son.
Well, that's a separate issue.
Go to
like
but I mean, but like
that's the point that I'm making in terms of like that storyline specifically. Whatever, a mother leaving her kids because whatever, yeah, that was also like very much stretched. But
right, but to your point, like, because she wasn't there, you know what I mean? She wasn't there in order to be. They just took her away. Like normally, because she is a minor, you have to take the parents with them. Like the police would have called the mother, like not say, oh, we'll call your mother and send her to the station. No, you literally have to if it's a minor. Like that's kind of illegal. But but
they wouldn't arrest. They wouldn't have arrested 11. They'd probably take her from the home and put her in the back seat and be like,
DPS would have come.
Foster care for now or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. DPS would have come. They wouldn't have arrested her.
Yes.
Right. You're 100% right.
I feel like they were trying to just set up a cool like action scene, like doing, moving a character out of a situation to set up a visual scene where it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it makes sense for like if it was Erica. Yes, I feel like something like that wouldn't really happen in real life because it has and it does. But for someone who looks like 11, I feel like that is like, I mean, obviously everything's unrealistic, but that one is like, I feel like I wish there was a little bit more sensitivity around it, but I wonder if there was like some unconscious like awareness of it, but I don't know. I'm just gonna
I
just
it was weird.
But go ahead.
Oh no, I just kind of like I'm sure there's some unconscious things, but I'm also seeing it from like they're trying to set up like a visual thing. Like it doesn't make
the visual cartoons. Yeah, they had to have a reason for 11 being re-kidnapped to go back to her papa, and so we could get her back her abilities,
Yeah, but they could have still done that and just put her in the car. Like they didn't have to.
No, well, I mean, then it comes to
we're
like,
I would just put that out there.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
We don't need to discuss it further, but I guess in my head I was like, I don't think it should be excused or rationalized. I just think I just want to leave that there.
Oh no, there is it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, in terms of her getting back to the lab situation, that whole scenario, what did you think about what they went through to get 11 her abilities back? How we were introduced to Vecna. Well, we didn't know he was Vecna back then. He was just an orderly. But
I
any thoughts?
Are we gonna talk more about we're talking about like 11 getting that route. Okay,
that route, like with Papa, and then the other guy who I know Paul Reiser. I don't know who his character was. I remember him from like season 2 when they shut down the original lab after 11 closed the gate, and he's the one who allowed 11 to be raised by Hopper and faked her death. So now to see them working together in order to quote unquote save Hawkins, because Hawkins is having a tough time in that town.
Yeah, even with like episode 1, I'm glad they put the disclaimer before episode 1, like with what happened, but seeing like those children, like I was a little shocked. I was like, oh my gosh. But
wait, which part are you talking about?
When
the kids were killed. I understand. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I hopped. I went backwards. when
Got
at
it.
the beginning of episode 1 they have a disclaimer, or before it starts, and then like at the end of episode
Right.
1 you see like this child die horribly. uh
Oh
I forgot-
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Chrissy, the
Yeah,
cheerleader.
yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. I'm sorry, brain fog.
That's okay.
uh
You said you liked how they did the disclaimer about what we're gonna see with 11 in the lab. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
but I thought the flashbacks were interesting. And they tied back in with the beginning part, I think, of the first episode, where she's trying to figure out like, oh, am I the villain, am I the monster, and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
learning more about like the children, which was kind of in season 2 with the random like one episode X-Men type style
Yeah,
kids.
when she like ran away and was with some random kids and that got away in season 2, like with like I think it was like Jubilee. It was like I called that girl Jubilee. I don't know what her real name was, but like, yeah, it was very. I see. For me, I was like, okay, who are these kids? Because where are the kids that like got away?
Yeah,
Where are they? Because
they
we're just left with these little kids that clearly do not get away.
are they like erasing that? Are they trying to erase that episode?
So I think they're trying to retcon something, because I don't really understand. But there was a lot of backlash from the fans saying like, how come we're watching these flashbacks and 11 clearly is able to talk a lot better than she did when we initially met her in season 1. Really struggled with speaking. And Mike was really having to teach her almost everything. And yet here we are in the flashbacks. And to that credit, I feel like because it's in her mind, like Elle is still the progressed girl we know. In these flashbacks, it's in her mind. Her mind, which has learned over these last like 4 years. So yes, she may have certain memories of herself, but she's gonna fill in I think the mind fills in the gaps, and it's all freaking science fiction. So
the language thing didn't really bother me that much. I think it was like interesting
bother me
backstory.
either.
I definitely
She went through a very traumatic experience, and sometimes when you go through trauma, you like speaking. Sometimes there's been movies that show that too, like X-Men, Logan, the last movie with the little girl, like she didn't speak at all because she had experienced such extreme trauma. I feel like there's a lot of that. So I feel like that to me is similar. And it sounds like there was some brain hacking because she didn't even remember half the stuff. So she forgot a lot of stuff. And so basically back to your original question, Courtney, of like, what did we think of that? Like her journey of having to revisit those memories in order to awaken her powers. I feel like that's such a metaphor for having to heal in real life, like from trauma. Like I think a lot of people who are, especially now, like trauma is like becoming like a very public narrative term or whatever, just because everyone's collectively experienced it from COVID and all these like layers of it in terms of racial justice and all the stuff that we're seeing on a like a societal level, that like people are like suffering in a lot of these different ways, or experiencing workplace trauma or blah, 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 like all these terms. And I feel like what therapy says the best way to heal is to feel your feelings, feel it, not repress it. So a lot of people repress those feelings and then they operate and they don't realize those fears are driving now bad decisions every day because they're trying to avoid it. And so like what therapy would say is, in order to get past it or to heal, you have to face it. You have to remember what happened. You have to experience it. You got to feel the feelings, and you got to feel to heal, is the quote. And then once you feel those feelings and heal it and accept that this is a part of your past and this happened, only then can you move forward with like peace and not have those fears unconsciously driving your behavior, trying to avoid or dismiss or getting triggered. Like again, like you can make peace with that and then like actually move on in life in a healthier way. So I feel like that was such a metaphor for that. Like she's repressed all these memories. And so as a result, you see her like struggling in school and having all these fears and being wired by like wanting to be approved. And because now she has this thought process that she's a bad person based on these like fears, because she hasn't actually faced it or dealt with what she went through. And so I feel like this is such a opportunity over here, deal with what you went through now that you survived, experience, like heal. And I feel like that's the kind of journey they're showing us right now. And you're seeing that even even with all the other characters, they have all experienced trauma, like Max and all of that, who are getting possessed, but they haven't healed from the trauma that they've experienced. They just try to repress it and whatever, and so it's affecting them physically. And so this evil guy is now able to access them through this like energy that they keep in their body, negativity that they're repressing, and use that against them. It's really interesting, I think, parallel or allegory to that type of concept.
Yeah, is that your dog? Is he the one?
Sorry, my dog is.
No,
Yeah,
I was like, who's asleep?
that is my dog. That is my bulldog. Sorry, guys.
No. I was like, no, it's totally fine. Now
This is a bulldog snore.
But I love that you brought us. That brings us back to Max, which her storyline was really interesting, given the fact that like her whole relationship with Billy, you know, because we lost Billy in season 3, he kind of made that sacrifice to save 11, and now she, as a result, because she had a lot of back and forth with Billy, but at the end of the day, she really did love him. So seeing what she's going through now and all the other kids that are going through these traumatic experiences, just the way that Vecna targets is so interesting, and the way he kills. I was like, wow, the fact that he himself is dead, but in the upside down, and knowing that like, you know, I jump ahead, but like, it's hard to talk about Vecna or talk about Max and what she went through in the upside down without talking about Vecna, who is causing all this problem.
Yeah, he's like torturing them with like their guilt and everything. So it's like, yeah, what you brought up, like interesting points of like looping like all these characters' trauma, and like Max as well as a character who, you know, she obviously does not like to appear sad, and like more like, okay, I have like toughness, and like having to face that trauma head on, and to be like honest with herself, and like, I don't know, like I guess being honest with yourself, like, and dealing with that as like a villain on top of like
and then like you know, it starts to, when you have this trauma, sometimes you can start to have negative beliefs around it, because you have this negative thinking of, I'm not worthy. I don't know if you've ever like went through grief, but there's like a lot of things where you can feel like guilt, and you know, and I'm a bad person, and blah blah blah, and like, you know, you have all these like negative feelings and beliefs that sometimes when you spend too much energy there, it transforms you. You become depressed, you become high anxiety, you have like all these different things, where like what they would say the cure is like to remember to not think those things, to remember who loves you, your friends who love you, like the good things that I think there's a therapy 101, like what would your best friend say to you in this moment? What would you know, what would you say to a kid who's going through what you're going through? Would you say these negative things about her, that she's worthless and she should feel guilty and da da da? No.
Right.
Console her, she's okay, it's okay. Like you would have her forgive herself and blah blah, and you would remind her of all the things that that she's loved and all of that. And I think that pulls you out of that energy that then sometimes,
which is what
don't get pulled out, and it can lead to bigger consequences in life, like suicide and all that stuff, which is really scary.
Which was the powerful thing, that like the music is what brought her back. Like the idea that music is her tie to that song, and how that was her thing, you know, like that was the thing that she always listened to, and knowing that, and then Lucas being able to pull that out and bring that forward, you know. I really like the way that they used music.
Yeah. That artist also is just getting a big payday right now from that.
She sure is. She sure is. And I'm so happy for her, because like that, I totally downloaded that song. I sure did. But yeah. What other, okay, I guess let's talk about I don't know Winona Ryder's character's name, but the search for Hopper. What do we think about that?
I feel like that dragged like
crazy American.
Like
you get it, American, he's crazy, you get it. Americans are crazy, okay.
I part of me I mean, it sounds bad, but like, I don't know, like it kind of dragged. Like we didn't, you know, him like trying to get out, then he gets out, then he's caught again, and like this looping. I know they're trying to set them up for the second part, but it's the way it's showing right now, it's like this could have been shorter.
Yeah, there was an immersion break for me too, like with the whole like he had somebody like slice down his foot, and then like in the next scenes and whatever, he's not even limping at all, like he's just walking normally with this chain. I'm like, what? How are you straight walking? Fine, jumping on motorcycles while like a day
right?
after
They like totally like
you
broke
chopped
his
your
foot.
Yeah.
They're like, bro. I mean, he like shot half of his foot off, but he still made it through somehow.
Like, yeah, like it's like if that part was unbelievable, how much he's been beaten and ribs broken and blah blah blah, and he's still operating like a healthy human, walking, doing, you know, like, I mean,
he's acting like the Red Guardian from Black Widow. Right. I totally got those vibes.
That's what a coincidence that
he did a whole article how he was telling the Duffer Brothers when they were creating it, like how to make it different from his Red Guardian prison that he was in, which I thought that was pretty funny, given the fact that there's such a parallel that he's in a Russian prison and he was in a Russian prison as the Red Guardian. So that was really funny to me anyway. Yeah, I agree. I thought that it dragged a little bit just because like I would have rather him been in the Upside Down, like trapped in the Upside Down somewhere. Yeah. But I you know, as an adult, because we've seen it happen with Will, because usually it's all kids that end up getting trapped in the Upside Down, which is understandable now because Vecna being number one, he clearly always targets kids. I mean, in season 3, he did target some adults, but they never made it into the Upside Down. Only kids find themselves in the Upside Down, which I think is very interesting.
How much do you think that they're like completely referencing like the 80s horror movies, like the Freddy Kruegers and all of that?
It is a reference.
Yeah.
Even the guy that they
the dreams.
The guy that they talked to in the jail cell, that is the actor who played as Freddy Krueger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually so it's interesting, he approached the Duffer Brothers to be in Stranger Things, and they were, you know, totally thinking about it. So it was a happy coincidence. And that's why I also see a lot of references to Freddy Krueger in the Blockbuster store. People mention Freddy Krueger. Vecna's appearance and, you know, kind of having that nightmare type atmosphere is also heavy Freddy Krueger reference, as well as, like, of course, D&D. Vecna is a villain in D&D. But yeah, Freddy Krueger circle all around. So
that's cool. I didn't know that. The ET scene was really cool too, and apparently there's a mailman that they showed at one point when they were all like riding their bikes, whatever. And then like you see the juxtaposition with parallel. The mailman was a lookalike for Steven Spielberg, who directed ET, which was interesting. I think they were trying to get Steven Spielberg, but for some reason I guess he didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think
they have if you watch that scene again, there's like a mailman scene, and he looks 100% like, it looks like it's a Steven Spielberg cameo, similar like how Stan Lee used to do the cameos for MCU, but it's actually not him. It's a lookalike, and it's like it takes you into the scene with the bikes, and that looks like ET and everything.
Joyce, that's her name.
Yeah,
the mom.
I'm so
like, what is her name?
But I'm curious who, like, so we have one more season after this part too, and like the way they're setting up Vecna, he's the foot soldier to the underground, like as what is his name, Dustin has stated and basically explained.
Right, but I don't think he is the foot soldier. I think because nobody knows the real story, I think he's the big bad. Dustin thinks he's a foot soldier because he doesn't know Eleven's story. He doesn't know that she created Vecna, and she doesn't know that that Vecna is doing anything. She just got her powers back, and apparently, and I feel like we're gonna see, like, you know, the another Black character being utilized as a tool, as like the general who is like hunting 11, thinking she's responsible for all the things that are happening in Hawkins, even though she's not anywhere near Hawkins, which makes no sense as to why you think she would be masterminding and puppeteering some stuff from like 3,000 miles away. But
it's a weird way to try and set up, we're going to destroy this lab that you're training so hard in, because, you know, we got to throw in a wrench somehow. It doesn't make sense. So like,
that part doesn't make sense. You know who else?
There's a
And I
lot of
totally
that in this, where they like really stretch some things.
yeah. So I think we're gonna find out that like the mind flare and all of those things, those work for Vecna, because given what happened in the final scene where Jamie Bell, I forget his last name, but Jamie Bell reveals himself as he's number one. He's the first of the kids, and that the doctor Papa had put something in his neck to suppress his abilities. So then we get to see he's the one who did the damage to the room. And yeah.
Do you think they're gonna have another season, or do you think this is it?
There's
another
season
5.
Yeah, that's
the
the last
season
season.
5 is the final season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get
started filming for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're about to start. They're about to start. Yeah.
Coming out.
Yes. So right now we have season part 2 of season 4 is already shot. But yeah, they're about to go in to record or film season 5. And that's our final season. So I think when we finally get the gang all back together, this is the first time we've had the gang separated for so very long, because even in season 3, Dustin, Steve, what's his little friend's name? Mia Hawk is her real name. Why do I remember actors' real names? I don't remember the characters' names. It's terrible.
I watched an interview.
Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter.
They have a daughter? That's in it?
Yeah.
Well, they have a daughter. They had a daughter together. Oh yeah, they were married. And then who is she in the movie then? Who is she in
she's the girl who works at the Blockbuster with him.
Oh wow.
That's
Daphne? No, Daisy? No.
Yeah, what is her name, right?
Did
I can't think of her name.
I'm sorry.
For Rodney to share.
I'm so bad at names. See Stranger Things characters.
Did Daphne?
Is it Daisy?
I
don't know. I
see. This is why we.
Is it Maya Hawk?
Is it?
Wait, no.
Mia
Robin,
Hawk. Yeah,
that's
her.
Robin.
Robin. That's her name. Robin.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know she was their daughter. She's cool.
Yeah, she looks so much like Uma Thurman to me.
Yeah. I love that she's friends with Steve too. They're like polar opposites, but like kind of the same at the same time. I really like it.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I could see him being the big bad, because that's what I thought initially at the end of it. But then, like, after listening to him, like, I don't know. Like, it is, they could still like pull another big bad, but it might feel kind of awkward considering the spiel that Vecna said about how he wants to recreate the world, which he did for the Underground. The Underground is a recreation of the right side up environment. But I guess I'm curious about the time period where he was like turning into Vecna, and the time period where all the incidences have happened, like, the 50s from the 80s, and why there was like a block. But I'm assuming he was like recovering.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me, given the fact that like, how old is this kid? Because if that stuff happened in like 59, because it happened in 59, and now we're in the 80s, so Vecna has to be like, he has to be like
40 something.
Yeah, I can't do math.
I mean, he does look like he's aged a little, guys.
Yeah. like
oh yeah, I guess he did. No, but when she knew him like 5 years ago.
Yeah, like
she just killed him 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, so yeah, so if I guess he would be like almost 30.
He got sithed. He got sithed.
Yeah,
like,
because let's say if it was 1960, let's just say 1960, and it's 1985, he's 25.
Yeah, I heard that they said too, like that whole 27 years thing is like a nod to 80 horror movies too, because I don't know if it was Freddy Krueger or somebody, like they usually strike every 27 years, or like that number has been like a recurring theme in 80 horror.
Yeah, and the number 27 in and of itself, like famous artists usually pass away at the age 27. So, like
there's something there.
There's something there.
Yeah,
but
I did kind of guess like 3 episodes in that Vecna was number 1.
Oh yeah, me too.
And that dude was number one. So he said, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you about the story of number one." I'm like, okay, "You're number one. You're back."
You're totally number one. Yeah, it was like so. I'm like, first of all, he just appears and is like
you don't
this
see the
ominous
body.
figure, like just kind of like lurking around, like Nurse Ratchet. And I'm like,
as well as like the child that they show is like, "Oh yeah, my son died later. You don't see the body." I'm like, "Yeah, that kid's not dead. Something off." And then he's sensitive to things, and I'm like, yeah, he's sensitive to he's got abilities or something. So
yeah.
But
Okay, so what else? And I really liked the addition of Eddie, leader of the Hellfire Club.
Yes, and
I thought he's such a great character.
Yeah. I loved his character. I also like the parallels to the Satanic Panic and everything that was happening.
Yeah.
A lot of the references. I also didn't know that the Satanic Panic West Memphis, Arkansas murders happened like right next door to where I am. So sorry, that's random history. But yeah,
because I just found out about, I want to say a couple of years ago, I found out about the Satanic Panic and how when D&D was making its rise, how it was really kind of like labeled as like a cultish thing that kids were getting involved in, you know, rather than just being a game that's like imaginative and role play. But yeah, so I thought that the addition of that was really clever.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna reference the Tom Hanks movie that he was in. That's also like a reaction to the Satanic Panic. I forgot what the movie was called, but they referenced D&D being like a Satanist thing in that movie. But yeah, I like the parallels of the stuff that's happening in Hawkins, the Upside Down, and the kids that are in D&D, but also like know about the Upside Down and like Satanic Panic, but it's actually not. And there's also religious allegories too, and yeah.
What do you think about? What do you guys think is going to happen in the next couple episodes?
I feel like
well, the first one is 85 minutes, and then the second one is 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Whoa! Yes.
So they're basically mini movies.
Because I was confused why it was like 2 episodes. Like, okay, you got like, was it 7 episodes? We have 2, but hearing that's runtime, like, yes, don't like do 2 small like. But I heard they also split it up by part 1 and part 2 for Emmys as well, so they can qualify for Emmys like now and next time around.
Okay, that's
pretty clever.
Yeah, and also too, I think I didn't realize the runtime was longer for the last 2 episodes. That makes me feel a lot better because can I tell you how mad I was when I saw at the end of that episode that I have to wait a whole month for the last 2 episodes. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. This is the one sanctuary place of a network station platform that I could watch I can actually binge from 0 to state to end. I don't like to wait for things. You guys know that. And so like, to me, it was a little bit annoying. And I did watch Love is Blind. So Love is Blind was the first, I think, series that was that popular that also like made you wait for like certain episodes. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, is this becoming the new norm? Like, are they like trying to get engagement to compete with the Disney platform, Hulu, you know, all that kind of stuff? And if that's the case, does that mean that we'll never have binge-worthy seasons ever again?
No, Netflix said no. Netflix said that they are not going to switch their model go week to week. They literally came out and said, because there was an article that said Stranger Things season 4 was potentially going to be, they were going to release it week to week. And Netflix came out and said, no, we would never do that with Stranger Things. It started out as full seasons binge out, and it's going to continue that way. They said if they were to do something like that, it would not be, because there are certain shows on Netflix that are released week to week, but it is a contractual thing that they have with the studios and creators of that each specific content that is released that way. But it's not anything that's in Netflix property. Like they said that they are not going to do it week to week.
Yeah, I think it's just Emmys competition as well. Like that's what it sounds like now after someone explained it. I'm like, yeah, they want more Emmys, but I mean, bring it like that. I love having this movie, like, you know, shot cinematically, movie length episodes, a binge. I was up till 3 a.m. I was trying to finish it all at once that day, and like I had to sleep. I'm like, I have to work tomorrow. I gotta sleep, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Bring me more of this, Netflix. I'm excited about their next lineup. They have I agree with you.
I too was very, because I got to the end of episode 6, and then I looked at episode 7, and the runtime was an hour and 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, they're gonna wrap this up. I don't know how they're gonna wrap this up, but how are they gonna wrap this up? And then as I'm watching it, I was like, how are they gonna wrap this up? And then I like Googled it, and I'm like, cut to finding out that part 2 is going to be released. And I was like, you dirty bastards. I was so mad. I was mad that I didn't just wait until July 1st to watch everything. But obviously, I was supposed to talk about it. Only reason I finished it, honestly, is because I had to talk about it. Because otherwise I would have stopped at episode 7, because I think I was at the beginning of episode 7, and I was like, there's still room for me to wait. It was a good place for me to wait. But since I had to come here and talk about it, I went ahead and finished it.
I had to eat them all up. I'm sorry. Like, I had to enjoy it. I loved it. I'm actually glad that, like, there's a slight, I mean, I do wish it was all together, but because of the length and like processing all the episodes, I do have time to think more about it and to like go back into things that I've probably forgotten. Like season 2, I've kind of forgotten a little bit about. So
yeah. I was doing Eyes in the Sky just reminded our showrunner just reminded me that Ozark did split in half. They did part 1 and part 2. Yeah. So I don't know if that is something that they are potentially going to consider doing more. Like they'll give you a certain number of episodes and then come back and give you a part 1 and part 2, because there are certain, like network shows or cable shows that do that.
movies.
But yeah, I like Clarama, I agree. Like Netflix, you've started this one way. Don't tease me like that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna wait until part 2 comes, and then I'll just watch it all, because I don't have the patience for this nonsense. I mean, it's just honestly for me, I don't know what kind of Emmys they plan on getting in July. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's literally 3 weeks. It's a 3-week window. So you tell me there's a cutoff June 4th or whenever it dropped, and then there's a new cutoff on July 4th when it's or July 1st when it's supposed to come out. I don't know, but these are wonderful questions that I hope we never have the answers to, because you better not do that to me.
Yeah.
Well, this season is going to end on, I don't think it's going to end on a happy note, right? This season has to have.
I think someone's going to die.
I think so too. I think it's going to be Jonathan.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Jonathan again?
Stoner.
That's Will's brother.
Stoner.
The Stoner.
Yeah,
Will is in California, the little boy, and then his older brother.
Who's the older brother?
Exactly, he's forgettable.
Then it's gonna be someone way more important.
No. I'm saying literally, he's forgettable. Do you know Pizza Guy's best friend? That's Jonathan.
Yeah.
I don't remember who his best friend was. Oh, so the guy, is he the girl's boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nancy's boyfriend, who's out of town, who's living in California. I think he's gonna die.
Yeah.
He's the older brother of Will.
Or Hopper might die again, but I hope that doesn't happen, because that would be tiring.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna kill Hopper.
You guys, I think they're gonna kill 11.
Huh?
I think she's gonna sacrifice her life for everyone.
Oh, you think so? I think that's a strong possibility.
Story. That's what they do to every superhero. They have to sacrifice themselves. Like Superman, Batman. I don't think ever sacrificed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think we're gonna get a couple deaths. I don't think it's just gonna be 11. I agree with you. I think she is gonna sacrifice, but I think there's gonna be at least more than one. I'm really hoping Nancy doesn't die, because she's really smart and I like her.
It would be the guy.
Or she could do
the guy, her ex, or the guy that she has a fling with, whatever. That's not really.
Steve? I thought they were gonna kill Steve, and I was really upset.
Steve almost died in season 2, but they decided not to.
Yeah. Because he had such a good following.
Yeah, he has great scenes. Like, I'm glad they didn't kill him off. But I think, Levin probably might die and do this Phoenix of the Ash thing. Like, she'll die but come back. I think
he would die for her, because remember they mentioned that she dived. She like loved him. Not she didn't love him, but like she dived immediately when he went into the water. And she like didn't even think about it.
That's why I think Jonathan's gonna die. The only way you can put Nancy and Steve back together, the only way you can put Nancy and Steve back together is if Jonathan dies. I think that's why I think he's gonna die.
Yeah.
I guess if they were that gonna be, they're gonna be that.
I think he's gonna
predictable.
sacrifice himself for Will or something like that.
I don't think- He doesn't
but-
even want to go to her college. Why would he sacrifice his life for her?
Not for her, for his brother.
I think Steve is gonna sacrifice his life for her, and then he's gonna end up being alive, and then she's gonna end up being with him. Especially when her boyfriend tells her that she's not even gonna go to school with her, and she's like, "Well, if you're not gonna sacrifice your life to go to the same school with me, I'm gonna sacrifice the guy who sacrificed his life for me."
Okay, now that's too much. But I
Mark
think
my word.
here's the
Please
reason.
sacrifice his life for her.
I'm not sure that 11 is going to die because she's already almost
Well,
kind of
she's gonna come
died.
back to the 5.
She.
It's gonna be a
Well, here's the
pseudo.
thing. Here's the thing. I think that she already died, quote unquote. What was it at the end of season 1? She kind of like supposedly died. Everybody thought she died. She sacrificed herself for Will, but like Hopper is the one that thought that she was still alive.
I remember season 1.
But I barely remember that. I just remember him outside with Eggos.
Remember lights?
Yeah.
The Christmas lights in the living room.
I remember flying. I remember Eggos. I remember fake body. The waterfall area. I remember images and being at grad school watching.
Pool. What was the pool with the guy and the lifeguard? Is that
Barb. Barb, her friend Barb died. in season 1.
Oh, poor
So that's
Barb.
that was Nancy's tragedy. That's how Nancy ended up in the upside down.
Barb died so
Which I thought that was pretty clever how he snapped her up real fast. Real quick, before we close, I'm going to say one last thing about a character that was an unsung hero that I really hope we get more of, and that's Susie. Susie in Utah with like all her little siblings.
Oh yeah, she was cute.
She was cute. I really liked her. I liked her.
Confused because I know like they're Mormon, but I wasn't sure if it was like they're all family and they live together. Or was it okay? I was kind of confused like when we went there. I'm like, okay, what's the house?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think
who's dying next season?
Who's dying next in the?
Are we all agreed on Steve?
I think no, I don't think Steve's gonna die. I think Jonathan's gonna die in these next 2.
Yeah,
I think Jonathan's gonna die at the end of season 4. But in season 5, I agree. I think 11 might die, but
or she'll just forever, or everyone will just lose their powers.
Yeah, it's either gonna be Will or it's gonna be 11, but one of them is gonna sacrifice themselves because those are the 2 kids we almost lost at the beginning of the series. So that is my speculation.
Do you think we could lose what's his name? The brother? The basketball player.
Lucas?
Lucas? No.
No.
I don't think they're gonna
Because he's already ready to be replaced by Erica.
I mean, he is better. But okay, so let's re-rate. Let's re-rate now that we've talked about this. Does anybody have a change? I think I might go ahead and change to a binge out because I did binge it. Like Catherine said, I literally watched it in like 2 days and I tried to stay awake and finish. But I fell asleep and was like, now I'm gonna have to watch it all over again. So I tried my hardest. So I'm changing. I'm going up to a full binge out.
It was.
How about you? Huh? Are you just gonna stay, Catherine?
Huh?
You staying in full binge out?
Staying full binge out. I'm so glad I watched this first instead of like Obi-Wan because like this, it put me in a good mood. I'm like, I enjoyed this. And then I watched Obi-Wan. I'm like, oh dang, I'm not enjoying this. It took me 2 days to watch episode 1 for Obi-Wan, but
yeah. I still will keep it a full meal only because I couldn't watch it. I couldn't binge it because I can't do horror, and this went the deep end a few times. I haven't seen any of the cracking because my hands are covering my face all the time, or like I have a projector that like I'm watching it on the big screen, but anytime they go to a scene that's about to be scary, I just like turn the projector off to a little tiny thing so it becomes this little small screen. And then have like sounds. Okay, got it. Wait till the cracking is over, and then or like when they go back into those like the memory, like I can't do it. I can't. So I had to piecemeal it because the energy was just too much. So I didn't want to have like nightmares and stuff, and I live by myself, so like my imagination is crazy for that. So full meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So apparently Chuck is in our chat and he thinks Nancy's going to die and that he gave it a full binge out.
Yeah.
That is from our friend in the sky, Missing in Action, Chuck. We thank you for jumping in and letting us know your opinion.
I think he's right. That's how they always do it. And then the two guys who both loved her are gonna have like attention. Oh, that's real.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
Nancy was left in peril and she doesn't have a special song. So
Oh,
I think
that's
he might
right.
be on to something.
Wow.
But I think she'll
So-
die at the very end and not like just first 4
I don't think if they kill her right away, that would be amazing and terrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe she dies trying to save Steve. But she's
Well,
annoying
Steve
though.
is-
too, sometimes.
Steve
I think
stayed
she's
behind
annoying.
trying to save her because they're both in the upside down, and which is weird because her body is in one place but her mind is in another. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you so much to Catherine and Clarama for jumping in and visiting the BingeWorthy podcast today. Thank you so much. And I would like to give a shout out to Digital Click, who does all of our incredible images and videos that you see of us, all of the music. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. And come back and play with us again next week. Same geek time, same geek channel. Bye.
Bye.